is my slam time. Gonna bust up your behind. This is my slam time. Gonna mess up your whole mind. This is my slam time. Gonna bust up your behind. This is my slam time. Gonna mess up your whole mind.
Hello and welcome to episode 4 of EWA, and we've got a huge show tonight. We are going to settle the final 3 blocks in the EWA Championship tournament, and to keep that big fight feel from last week, we are back once again in Seattle, Washington, and I want to throw out a big shout out once again to Pulverized for their great song Slam Time, which they've kindly allowed us to use on EWA, and it's from the album CAWs Games. Link in the description below to download that. And I am joined, as always, by my commentary partner, the coloured commentator extraordinaire, Emir Blackbane Costello. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Mike. Happy to be back here in Seattle, where they often describe the crowd as a 12th man because that's how loud they get. And I'm hoping that our performers tonight are going to give them all the reasons in the world to get as loud as they've ever been.
Exactly, and you know, it feels appropriate to do all of the final parts of the blocks in front of the same potential audience. So you know, we're going back to back here this week. First time ever in EWA history on week 4. We've got a first time ever. So now I should explain. During the entrances, should always explain what's going on. This opening match, neither man, unfortunately, is in a position where they can get through in this tournament. Their block will be decided later tonight, but a whole lot of pride on the line because neither of these men have won a match yet in EWA. So,
well, here's Cody Gentry's chance to really step up, and though he can't possibly go through to win the tournament, he can prove that he is at least worth something by picking up a big win here.
Yeah, and this is kind of like the start of the rest of EWA for these guys. Like, they've had a rough start, they can't be the first ever champion, but now they're starting to want to make a good impression for being a potential future champion. You've got to start building towards getting into that number 1 contender spot by picking up some wins when you haven't thus far. So, Cody Gentry pacing back and forth outside the ring. He looks ready, but he always comes out looking ready, and so far, he's not quite managed to do it. He's proven his toughness in his first match in week 2. He was not able to be put away, but it needs to do more than that now. It needs to start picking up wins.
Yeah, it gets really tough when you're on the worldwide stage like this, with so many people in the arena and all the people watching at home, and you can really psych yourself out, but Cody Gentry's really just got to focus and prove to the world why he is Big Evil.
Yeah, absolutely. And here comes his opponent, Richard Anderson. Both of these men, if you remember, on week 2, held out against a lot of offense from their respective opponents for a time limit draw and showed their toughness. But then in week 3, last week, weren't quite so lucky and both ended up picking up losses. So their opponents, Taylor Osborne and Drake Dooley, they will battle it out for the right to win this block. But these two now, they got so much to prove. They got to prove that not only are they tough to put away, but they can actually pick up a victory in a match. They can do enough to the opponent to be a threat and be a contender one day in EWA.
Well, if anybody's going to prove it, I think it's going to be Richard Anderson, because he looks like the kind of guy that you wouldn't want to cross.
Yeah, I see what you did there, Cross. So, this match kicks off. We instantly, despite the fact that neither man can qualify, we are still obviously under 10-minute time limit rules. It is still a tournament match, just because no one can qualify doesn't change that as such. But Richard Anderson, after a hot start here.
It looked so painful the way Richard Anderson just dropped Cody Gentry right on both of his knees.
Yeah, it's a fairly unique approach, but it's slowing the man down. Instead of dropping him on his back or on his head, which obviously will slow a man down, but you're taking away his, you know, it's hard to shake off a knee injury. A flat back bump, they hurt, but wrestlers are conditioned to take those, you know, so it takes a large number of them to really, really put your opponent away. But dropping someone on the knees, you can't condition your knees for that.
And so far, it looks like these guys are evenly matched. So they both really want to get this win, in spite of the fact that doesn't actually mean anything as pertains to the tournament.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything for the tournament, but this is the first match of the rest of their careers, kind of thing. Like, you know, if they pick up a win here, pick up a win next week, maybe pick up a win at the pay-per-view, there's a chance on that sort of streak, depending on how everyone else is doing, that they could be in line to challenge the first champion. You know, we're only 3 weeks deep. This is the start of week 4. You know, you can turn around the where you are in the ranking system very quickly at this point.
Yeah, I gotta say, whether you're Cody Gentry or you're Richard Anderson, you absolutely need a win here, because if you take another loss, that's going to get stuck in your head, and you're going to have an even more difficult time overcoming that failure.
Yeah, absolutely. That nice move there by Cody Gentry sort of reminds me of one of Tornado's signature moves there, the golden wind, he calls it, that sort of slamming him face down with a lot of impact. I wonder if he's been watching tape and added that to his arsenal because he thought it looked impactful, or if it's just coincidental that they've both come up with a similar move. But Richard Anderson back in control now, actually suplexing Cody Gentry out from outside in, from the ring apron into the ring.
I always love the beginning of the matches when the two men are trying to kind of fill each other out and nobody can really get the clear upper hand.
Yeah, like right there's a high impact move. He'd followed it up with a springboard moonsault attempt, but Richard Anderson, despite the high impact move, still too fresh and got out of the way. You've got to wear your opponent down before you start throwing yourself through the air at them. Right, they're going to move.
By the way, I saw that kip up by Cody Gentry, and it's clear that Richard Anderson is not doing enough to keep this man grounded. Yeah,
I would say overall a very slight advantage to Cody Gentry over the first few minutes of this match. Not enough to cement him as a definite winner, but enough to put a bit of concern in Richard Anderson's mind, I would say. He's struggling at this exact moment. He's trying to pull himself up using the ropes on the apron. Oh, and he drops down, dodges the potential attack by Cody Gentry. Oh, but as he rolls back in, DDT. And that's not what you want to be greeted with when you come back into the ring.
If you look at what Cody Gentry did just there, it's something that many opponents have done in this tournament the past few weeks, was landing a high impact move on their opponent and then just kind of resting and not even going for the cover.
Yeah, and you've been, especially under time limit circumstances, you've been sat here next to me, you know, getting more and more frustrated with that, and I understand that, you know, I do agree with you, but these guys, they have a lot of faith in a particular set of moves, but there's, you know, so they tend to like wait until they've hit one of their big signature moves, but there's a certain amount to be said for forcing your opponent to use that energy to kick out, you know, and sort of force him to get his shoulder off the mat within 3 seconds, you know, instead of just letting them recover in their own time, you know. Like that sense of urgency like makes them recover a little bit less well, which is a good tactical edge.
Yeah, I think what a lot of these guys have found is that when they're going against their opponents, it's a game of chess, you know. Everybody's trying to outdo the other person, and it's so difficult to get the upper hand that by the time you think you've figured it out, you run out of time.
And speaking of the game of chess, what do you think of that strategy by Cody Gentry? He broke the referee's count. Now I can see both sides of this coin. Oh, look at him faking the jump out of the ring. That was a little bit of fanciness for the fans, I guess. But then actually jumps out and takes out Richard Anderson. But yeah, he broke the referee's count. Now, on the one side, you can say, well, hang on, he could have had a victory there by count-out. But as much as within the tournament, it's worth as much to pick up a count-out victory, within the minds of the fans and EWA management, is a count-out victory really worth as much as a pinfall or submission victory? You know, in terms of your standing within the company. Because points in the tournament don't matter to these guys now. So, would you agree that maybe there was some merit to breaking the count and trying to beat Richard Anderson in the middle?
I would agree, because I think the problem with a count-out victory is it kind of makes you look a little bit like a coward. And these guys are real competitors. These guys are soldiers.
Yeah.
And if they're going to go out, they're going to go out on their backs. And if they're going to win, it's going to be in that ring.
And it almost just welcomes that future question of, well, yeah, but you didn't beat me, did you? You just left me outside the ring. You didn't pin me. You didn't make me submit. You know, like, oh my God, Richard Anderson. That might be all she wrote. He landed awkwardly off that springboard move. Cody Gentry moved out the way, Anderson is really staggered, getting back up to his feet, and Cody Gentry is stalking him. He's ready. Oh, knee to the face, and now he's got him up. Into TKO. Great combination move there by Cody Gentry. But seemingly not content. Oh, here we go. Why did he take his time going into that cover? I don't understand that. He's got a 2. There, that extra time where he paced around the ring, maybe he had a bit of excess, adrenaline running through his veins and he was just pacing, but man, go for that pin immediately.
Cody Gentry, after hitting his big move, barely had any energy left to get back to his feet, and then used the last of his energy to stumble backward away from the cover.
Maybe I'm misinterpreting that. Yeah, like maybe it was a lack of energy as opposed to an excess of energy, but whichever it was, fall into the cover, like just fall in the right direction. That's like the difference between someone who's going to be the first champion and someone who's eliminated from the tournament before the final match. Is can you make yourself lucky? How's your ring awareness? Can you fall in the right direction when you need to fall into a cover, when you're absolutely exhausted? They can be the difference makers.
I agree, and we got to question these guys. What is their ring IQ? Because these things are not a matter of luck. They are a matter of experience. And right now, Cody Gentry is showing that his is not at a high level. Yeah,
in an individual match, you can get some luck. But, as this tournament shakes out and as EWA as a whole develops, that luck will become less and less of a factor, and you'll be like, well, you didn't get lucky every time, or you didn't get unlucky every time. There's only so many times you can explain it away with luck. Now, what's Cody Gentry got in mind here? He's waiting for Richard Anderson, excuse me, to get up to his feet.
Anderson apparently out on his feet. He's got nothing left in the tank.
Big bump to the outside for Richard Anderson. Cody Gentry waiting in the ring. Is it like he wasn't willing to take the count out victory before? Now that the time is down, is he a bit more willing? Because I would feel like if you've not already been fighting outside the ring, it's probably harder to keep your opponent down for 10 outside the ring than down for 3 inside the ring. Like, you go for the count of victory when the referee's already on 7 and you hit a high impact move or something, not just by throwing them out and waiting. Like, all that allowed was Richard Anderson took 5 or 6 seconds to recover and took his time and came back in, and now look, he's in control. You've got to pick your spots to go for these certain types of strategic moves.
If Cody Gentry loses this match, he's never going to forgive himself, because he's had some real opportunities here and he's completely squandered them away for no reason.
Yeah, 100%. But he's got Richard Anderson on the ropes again, and again sends him to the outside. Just over a minute left on the clock. And within the last minute, he's gone for 2 count-out victories now. And I'm not having declined a count-out victory before. I'm not sure I fully understand or agree with this decision. Maybe you can try and explain it. What he's thinking.
I just think he doesn't want to fight. I mean, that's the feel he's giving out to the fans as he gets rolled up.
Oh, this is the sense of urgency we needed. Oh, but Cody Gentry kicks out.
And I'm usually the guy who's bringing up the clock. We're down to the last 30 seconds, and Cody Gentry has wasted his time, absolutely.
Yeah, big move by Richard Anderson there. He calls that the 413 slam. He's got 413 on his tights. And I'm not particularly well versed in Bible verses, so I don't know what that refers to, but I will find out because I'm curious. I'm sure that'll be something quite prevalent. Oh! There it is, the redemption. Oh, he got him with 1 second left on the clock. Big win by Richard Anderson. Not a statement win, didn't win with 7 minutes left on the clock, absolutely obliterate someone. But a different kind of statement from Richard Anderson, that I will not give up until the end, until the match is over. The bell has to have rung before I'm out of it. He seemed to be really on the back foot for a lot of that match. He was at risk of being counted out or pinned with like a minute or 30 seconds left, and yet there he is picking up the win with 1 second on the clock. Incredible.
By the way, Cody Gentry's message to the crowd is, I will give up with 2 minutes left in the match.
Oh, okay. So there's the gauntlet laid out by Blackbane. Cody Gentry, pick up your ideas next week. Book up your ideas. Get back on the horse. Anyway, out next, Lee Toki. And unfortunately, for this one, because I like this guy. I've been impressed with him. But unfortunately, this is another match where the participants in the match, they're out. They're not going through to the finals. So, what do you make of Lee Toki? I feel like we talked about luck not being like the biggest factor over a long amount of time, but each wrestler coming into this show has had 2 matches, so we're not talking about a long time. And I feel he's maybe been unlucky to come up short. How do you feel about Lee Toki?
I feel great about him, and I think that it's worth noting that anybody who has to face Lee Toki, one of the things that you definitely have to plan for is how to hurt this guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's got armor almost everywhere. You got to figure out which parts of his body are actually exposed, and then work out a master plan for how to get those parts of his body fatigued.
Yeah, 100%. And also out of the tournament already at this point, Misery. So I can make the obvious jokes about he won't be happy about that, but you know, these 2 again, just like the opening match, fighting for pride. And up next in the following match, we are going to decide a tournament finalist, but getting a couple of these sort of pride matches out of the way first, where they're only fighting for, you know, sort of like a perceived place on the totem pole of EWA, you know, a perceived spot in the pecking order. Do you have a pick? I should have asked you for the previous match. Do you have a pick for Misery versus Lee Toki?
You know what? Misery just has an amazing look and is super intimidating. But Lee Toki, my God, I really feel like Lee Toki's going to go over on Misery.
Okay.
Prove me wrong, Misery.
Prediction
Prove me
from
wrong.
Blackbane. Lee Toki over Misery. Let's see how that plays out. Oh, running dropkick. He gets off to a good start. He's proving you right in the first 8 seconds, but then Misery bouncing back. And we're going to see this again, like you talked about. You like this opening section of the match where it's back and forth, back and forth. No one's building continuous momentum. Although Misery's got a few shots in a row in, which is rare in the first minute of the match, but now Lee Toki's firing back. Yeah, you get this opening sort of flurry of offense from both men where they're just going back and forth and back and forth. And yeah, it's interesting to see who ends up coming out on top in it. Lee Toki with the early advantage here. Look at this delayed suplex. This is really early to be holding a move like this.
Amazing though. Get the blood rushing to your opponent's head and get them disoriented. You never know, it could lead to an early victory.
Yeah. Oh, but Misery bounces back. Yeah, on the one hand, it's the best time in the match to do it because you're freshest, so you've got most chance to be strong enough to hold them up and still have the strength in your body. But on the flip side, they're still not worn down that much, so there's a strong chance they'll fight out of it. I'm actually kind of surprised Misery didn't manage to get out of that move. Oh, look at Lee Toki absorbing the strike from Misery and just firing back. But then Misery dodges the follow-up strike and kicks him in the gut, but then gets caught. Just back and forth action. You try and call it and you're just saying but all the time. But he comes back, but he comes back. It's incredible to watch the first couple of minutes of an EWA match. They always start out fairly similar and jockeying for position. Who's going to have the advantage going into the kind of the second third of the match?
And what these guys have to learn how to do is really focus on their stamina, because everybody comes out right out the gate with just such aggression and ferocity, but then about 2 or 3 minutes into the match, they've been completely gassed.
Yeah, and here we go. Misery off the ropes. Oh, Lee Toki through the legs, and then great athleticism, jumps up and hits a Hurricane Rana, a standing Hurricane Rana on Misery as he turned around to try and figure out where Lee Toki was. And now look at the variety in Lee Toki's game. Oh, Misery gets out of it, but we just saw a Hurricane Rana and then a press slam. Like, strength, speed. He's kind of the whole package. Like, that's why I said, you know, I'm sort of surprised he's in this position going into his third match of not being able to qualify. But Misery in control since he escaped from that press slam.
One of the things that was good about Misery in that last little combination of moves is he got a little bit of extra help from the rope as he slammed Lee Toki.
Yeah, ring positioning and knowing where you are and using where you are in the ring to your advantage. It's a crucial part of being a professional wrestler. Oh, and Lee Toki knew he was in danger there, being set up on the top rope. Back elbow, nice crossbody off the top to Misery. And Lee Toki now starting to fire back. There's still a lot of back and forth going on. They're starting to put a few moves together. At the early part of the match, it's one move one way, one move the other. And then at this stage, you're getting like 2, 3, 4, but you're still not getting anyone with a prolonged amount of control over the match. It sort of changes over the course of the match.
Now, I know you mentioned at the beginning there's a lot of pride on the line, but let's not underestimate just how important a man's pride is to him.
Yeah, and again, especially in professional wrestling, it's wins and losses matter, but momentum matters. And if you're on a negative streak, you're going out there with a slightly different mindset than if you're on a win streak, and that can be the difference between then picking up another win or not. And then that keeps your streak going, depending on which mindset you're in, and it can be, that's why it can be so hard to break streaks. It can be hard for opponents to break winning streaks, but it can be hard for a wrestler on a losing streak to bust out of it, and that's why. Oh, nice reversal by Misery with the front suplex back into the ring. Oh, jumps over the top rope and actually lands on Misery. But Misery straight back up. I think Misery. No, lands on Lee Toki, sorry. But I think Misery might have landed mostly on the armour of Lee Toki. So Lee Toki bounced back. And there's a signature lariat from Lee Toki. Will this be enough to put him away? He throws him like no other. Oh! Okay. So...
Was that a 2 count?
Yes, because Lee Toki broke that count. And we saw that, if you recall correctly, in the first ever EWA match from Pain. He broke the count and he hit an extra move to make a statement. Now, we questioned it then because there was, the win really mattered for the tournament. Now, is Lee Toki just trying to make a statement by, behaving like that instead of just putting his opponent away? He knows dominating a match might have more impact than picking up a quick victory. I don't know. That's the only thinking I can come up with for why you would break up a potential 3 count.
I would argue that there's no bigger impact than just flat out getting a win. And anytime you don't finish out your cover, you put yourself at risk of losing. What's Lee Toki doing out there?
Yeah, I agree. Like, victories mean more than anything, but there's a lot of value in this psychological edge as well, for these guys. And he may have just knocked Misery clean out with that forearm. And this time, yeah, he holds the pin. So, I guess where you're looking at there, if you're feeling supremely confident, like you say, it can always backfire on you. But I guess Lee Toki's come at that from the approach of, hey, look, I could have beat him twice. Like there's a sort of like a mental edge for Lee Toki, and there's a mental edge for you, my friend, because you just predicted that match correctly. So, how do you feel?
You know what? I actually feel pretty good. Lee Toki, he took some unnecessary risk, but you know what happens when you take an unnecessary risk and you screw up, people say, why'd you do that? But when it goes and works out, everybody's like, this man's a genius.
Yeah.
So congratulations to the genius, Lee Toki.
Yeah, absolutely. And picking up his first victory in EWA. And we should mention as well, in the previous match, so did Richard Anderson. So congratulations to both those men. It's important to get that first victory on the scoreboard. And now Misery and Cody Gentry are in a kind of a spot there where they're 3 matches deep and they haven't picked up a single victory. So that can be a problem. But I think you know which team we've got a member of coming out next by the music that's playing, the sort of spooky music box tune. And as I said, this is going to be a block decider. Tornado still with a chance of going through, believe it or not. He's drawn his previous 2 matches. He hasn't picked up a win. He hasn't been beaten. 2 time limit draws. So arguably the man with the roughest tournament so far. He's the only man to have gone to have wrestled 20 minutes so far. That can wear away at you. However, he's still only 2 points behind his opponent, who's got 2 victories. So if he beats his opponent, he'll come level on points, and he'll beat him in the head-to-head because he's just picked up the win over him, so he can still qualify from here. So, what's your thoughts coming into this? Like, 20 minutes in 2 matches, it takes a toll.
You know what? I agree. It does take a toll, and I think Tornado understands that he has only himself to blame for not being able to figure it out. And sure, he's not taking any losses, but you know what? If you're Tornado, you have to look at draws as losses because they certainly aren't wins.
Interesting, yeah, absolutely. Like, it's a good way of looking at it. You don't climb the pecking order in a pro wrestling promotion, no matter where you are, by drawing matches. Like, you are you arguably fall slower with losses than it has less impact having a loss or two on your record than not having wins has, on your positive record. It's weird. Wins are what matters. Like, you can lose as much as you want, but then once you start picking up wins, suddenly everyone's like, oh, this guy, yeah, we can start pushing him towards the title now. He's got a few wins. You could have lost the previous, 5 matches, but if you pick up 2 or 3 wins, people are like, oh, this guy's on a roll. We can look at this guy as a potential. But draws do nothing for anyone.
Yeah, I agree. And in this guy, Tornado, he has to ask himself, what is his standard of wrestling here in EWA? Especially with a name of Tornado. Tornadoes are known to do a lot of damage. They're not known to blow into town and almost mess things up.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually a very nice point. Well made. Yeah, you can't argue with that. They're not known for coming into town and fighting to a time limit draw with a house and a car, are they? They tend to win. So here's his opponent. And we've been impressed with this man. 2 wins out of 2, but still, because of Tornado's 2 draws and not picking up any losses, still needs the... Well, funnily enough, Cody needs a draw here to go through. However, I don't think Coyote Cody has it wired into him where he could fight for a time limit draw. I don't think he has anything other than full speed ahead. I just don't think he has another mode.
I don't think Coyote Cody knows how to lose. And if you're a Tornado, you got to be a little bit worried right now because, both gentlemen have got their faces elaborately made up, but only one of them has proven how seriously he takes this tournament, and he's just full of aggression. Tornadoes. He's going to have to fight with everything he has to try to overcome Coyote Cody.
Is Cody taking the tournament seriously, or is he just really aggressive and and just likes to fight? Does he know he's in a tournament? Does he know what's on the line? Who knows? He just seems to like beating people up, if I'm being honest. Forehand by Cody rocks Tornado against the ropes in the early stages, and we were just talking about how you don't see anyone take control right from the bell, but Coyote Cody coming out of the blocks fast against Tornado. He's I think a good word to describe his offense. Tornado backs out of the way of the offense there. Great move, and finally gets a move in, an offensive move. But I think the word for Coyote Cody, especially out of the blocks, is overwhelming. He's so much aggression. Like, if you don't catch him on the counter attack and and really use his aggression against him, then you're going down quickly to Coyote Cody.
And I agree. Coyote Cody, he's got one of the hardest hits here in EWA. The moment you feel the power of his punch, you immediately regret ever leaving the locker room.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how much of that is... You always talk about how important technique is in generating power. Sometimes, just pure aggression will do that, and I think that's where most of the power in his strikes is coming from in Coyote Cody. I don't see him as a classically trained martial artist throwing really technically perfect punches. I think he's just throwing so much aggression into it that it's gotta hurt. But Tornado has him down at the moment, has him on the rocks, he's hooking him up for a suplex, and he hits it, but Cody straight back up to his feet, and wow, yeah, there's so much aggression in Cody. Not every move hits. Like, he's missed a few moves now, he's just swinging like a wild man, but you gotta stay out of the way of those, because once again, Tornado's down.
Yeah, I gotta say, if Tornado can find a way to beat Coyote Cody, it'll be such an amazing accomplishment that it'll immediately put him back in the running, not only in this tournament, but in the minds of all the fans. However, Tornado beating Coyote Cody is a thing I put on the list of other things that I know will never happen.
Wow, that's a big, bold prediction there, but especially to say it'll never happen. Wow. So, yeah, there's something to be said as well. The winner of this match is going through to the final of the tournament. And you got to think, as the other block winners and as yet to be crowned potential block winners are watching this on the monitors backstage, you've got to be thinking, wouldn't you prefer Tornado? And I don't mean that to be disrespectful to Tornado, but if Coyote Cody goes through, he's probably going to go through 3 wins out of 3, and with a lot of momentum behind him. Whereas Tornado has picked up 2 draws and then picked up 1 win, and there's just not as much. Oh, There's that move I told you from Tornado. We said we recognised it earlier in the show. I think it was Cody Gentry that hit it, but that was Tornado hitting it, but Cody bounces straight back. But yeah, there's the, you know, do you want to be fighting a guy who's won 3 in a row? Or do you want to be fighting a guy who's drawn 2 and won 1? You know, like, everyone's got to be rooting for Tornado backstage, right?
They've got to be. Who would want to fight Coyote Cody, a man that literally grabs you by your face, picks you up by your face, and slams you down?
My God, do you see how fast he slammed him down? He accelerated him down to the ground with that backstabber out of a powerbomb position so quickly. Like, I didn't know it was possible. I think Cody just broke gravity. He just dragged him down quicker than gravity can. Like, that was crazy. But Tornado showing his toughness. One thing we know about Tornado, he's got toughness. He's fought to 2 draws. No one's been able to put him away in the 10-minute time limits as yet. So we know he's got toughness, and he's back on the offense. You know, don't want to do him a disservice here, like Blackbane saying he'll never beat Cody. He's a tough individual, and he's got a 2 count. Oh, he almost got through. Cody just about kicked out. Just about. I believe he calls that move the Crazy Diamond. And I don't even know what that means. I don't know if Tornado does. Just, you know, it's fun hinged, man. You just got to go with the flow. Like, drop kick to the face, though. Speaking of going with the flow, he's keeping that momentum up that he's gained. He didn't manage to put Cody away, but Cody's not been back to his feet since either, I don't think. You know, he's keeping on top of him. He's showing that sense of urgency that maybe you didn't in the previous 2 matches, and maybe that's where your criticism of him comes from. But this one, he's got to win. You know, the others you want to win, this one you've got to win. You don't win, you're out. And I think we are seeing a slightly more urgent Tornado.
Yeah, I gotta admit, Tornado does look really good right now against Coyote Cody.
Oh!
I'd be
Kicks out at 1.
really surprised if he was able to kind of finish this out and get the job done, but he's got to stay on him, because right now, Coyote Cody is looking a little off.
Yeah, just as you're saying that though, Cody back on offense, and Tornado's got to turn this round quick. You've got to stifle that new momentum of Cody, but is it a few moves in a row now? He's going to start building towards hopefully picking up that victory from his perspective. Look at this, like, it's amazing how the momentum changes. You kick out at 1, it knocks your opponent off, you know, off the game just briefly. But Tornado firing back. There's another golden wind, and look at that, straight into the pin. A bit more urgency in that pinfall. He's got 2. Oh! Woo! That's a couple of times now. He's been real close to putting Coyote Cody away.
Tornado looks like he's got the momentum, and he may be able to get this thing done. He's just got to stay on him and hope that Cody does not do anything to come back.
And there's another Crazy Diamond. He goes for the pin again. Sense of urgency. Oh! And notice Tornado hooked the leg. Cody was not able to reach out and put his foot on the ropes. He had to kick out, and he did. Both of these men have demonstrated their toughness so far. I think in different ways. I don't think Cody's been pushed quite this hard, if I'm being honest. He's not been as close to losing as he has been in this match, in my opinion, in this tournament. And Tornado, arguably, maybe not been as close to winning as he has been in this match.
My God.
Oh! He just kips back up, though. You think you've got him on the ropes, you think Tornado's about to put him away, and then Cody's back on his feet and doing a half a backflip and kicking him in the head. It's just crazy.
Oh, my.
Oh, Tornado's caught him. Incredible strength by the smaller man in the match. Like, to do that to someone who is clearly bigger than you by, you know, I don't know the weights off the top of my head of these wrestlers. Maybe that's my next bit of research to get in my mind. But, he's clearly the bigger man, and that's impressive. And to be fair, we've not mentioned this so far, but so's this. This is impressive to do to a bigger man as well. Another Crazy Diamond. That's the 3rd one. That's got to be it. That's 2.
Isn't this going to be enough?
Oh! He kicks out again. Like, look at Tornado's frustration now. Like, what do I got to do to get that 3rd hand slap, ref? Like, you tell me, because I'm out of ideas. Like,
Coyote Cody is showing a level of heart that he's not yet been seen. And in EWA, I don't know what Tornado can possibly do to put this man away.
Yeah. And I don't know, is it a disservice to call it heart? I just think it's pure, rugged toughness. Like, I just think this guy doesn't register pain the same as you, average person. You know, and he's showing that. How'd you put him away? How'd you beat this man? Stomping on the hand now. Being aggressive. And now, okay. So, Cody taking that time, and I wouldn't accuse Cody of being a strategic wrestler. He seems to be full force aggression. But he wasted a little bit of time there, and he only needs a draw. He only needs a draw, and he's been on the back foot for the last few minutes. Was that strategic, or was that Cody finally kind of giving Tornado a bit of credit and saying, yeah, you've winded me here, I need a minute. You know, I feel like it was probably the latter. It doesn't strike me as the sort to play out a draw on purpose. Oh, that's a signature move of Cody on the outline. He calls that the Trupan, and that's one of his signature moves. He's hit it on the floor. He's rolled Tornado into the ring.
If Tornado doesn't kick out here, it's going to be over for him.
That's frustration from Cody, but had he hit that move in the ring and been able to go straight into the pin, he may have had a better chance. More impact on the floor, but more recovery time as you roll him into the ring. Oh, moves out the way of the Swan.
Ooh.
But yeah,
high risk and missed it.
We kind of got caught up in the action there because we thought the match was about to end. How do you feel about that Cody sitting down for a minute in the match? I firmly believe that was him being like, I need a minute. He's on the floor. I need a second. Like, you know, credit to Tornado to push Cody to that point that no one else has yet.
Yeah, I agree. Cody's been taking the hits the entire match, and I think he just needed a moment to catch his breath. But you know what? This match isn't over. For the last 26 seconds, you got to wonder who is going to get the job done.
Yeah, and we're about to see an attempt to get the job done. That is a package pile driver. That's a hugely high impact move by Cody.
14 seconds left.
Kick out Tornado. No, that was his last chance to at least get a pride draw. But Cody showing us a different side of his game there. We talked in weeks 1 and 2 about pain and how he steamrolled through an opponent in week 1, and then in week 2 he had to put up with the offense, funnily enough, of Tornado's stablemate in Unhinged of Thorn, and he had to put up with that unorthodox offense and show his actual toughness in taking a beating. Cody's shown that facet of his game here instead of just steamrolling through people like he has previously. He's going to be tough to beat. I don't know. How do you pick against him in the final?
I don't think you do. I mean, Tornado rolled into town, prepared to do damage, and Cody immediately chased him back out to the tune of nothing. Everything Tornado threw at him, and nothing to keep this man down. Kick out after kick out. He stopped to breathe for literally 1 second, and he got up and finished the job.
Yeah, just crazy toughness. Anyway, speaking of this man, speaking of Thorn, I just referenced him and his intense battle with pain a couple of weeks ago. These guys in this block, they've had a week off. They've had a week of recovery. Each block gets a week off, and I don't know. I feel like getting week 3 off was the best deal for a block, you know, before your final match. However, unfortunately for Thorn and his opponent tonight, it's not going to benefit them in terms of progress in the tournament. Both men out on 2 defeats so far, but he put in, I would say, a really impressive showing against Payne. So,
did he now? You just mentioned that Thorn has had a week off,
yeah.
But from as far as I can tell, he's been off his entire life.
Maybe we're talking about different kinds of off there. But yeah, it's but this again, our third and final Pride match of tonight, where neither participant can get through. The 2 final matches are both going to be to decide blocks, and this is Block D. I've not been mentioning block names. I apologise for that, guys, but I just realised this is Block D, and both of these men are 0 and 2, and they've both been facing Payne, who beat Jackson Blake in the opening match of all of EWA history in pretty convincing fashion, to be honest. But then struggled against Thorn, and then we've both lost to CJ as well. So that's going to be our main event of the evening, is Payne against CJ in Block D to determine who goes through from that block. But right now, they're block mates that cannot get through. There's, like we've talked about in the first 2 matches, there's a lot on the line here. Especially this match where no one's got a draw, you don't want to go 0 and 3. That's not. I mean, obviously that's not a good start, but psychologically, that's starting to plant those seeds of doubt in your mind. Of, can I do this? Am I built for EWA?
You know, I don't know that Thorn has any thoughts about his record as he comes dancing down to the ring. I think for him, this is all one big game.
I'll be honest.
But when you look at Jackson...
I thought you were going to stop at, I don't know if Thorn has any thoughts. I thought you were throwing more shade. So, I'm glad you actually continued that sentence, to be honest. But yeah, I actually spoke to Jackson Blake, and the man behind Jackson Blake, on Tracky Tuesdays, which is the other series on the channel where I speak to people, about EWA, for people from within, and he was talking about, the importance of this win. But another thing, he's got his eyes set on making an impact. He's said his eyes are set on Payne, and getting even from that week 1 loss. If Payne doesn't make it to the final, Jackson Blake wants Payne, which is bold considering how the first move went. So Jackson Blake clearly still not short of confidence in himself. He feels like he's been dealt a bum hand so far and can do better than this. And here's his chance to prove it tonight.
It's a difference in the entrances for these gentlemen.
Yeah.
Jackson Blake came walking down, just so calm, so collected, completely focused on what was getting ready to happen. But we have seen that Thorne's completely unorthodox style has been enough to throw many people off their game.
Yeah, you've got to. I think you've a big part of wrestling. It's the human game of chess, and you've got to know what's coming and be able, and have plans for what your opponent's going to do. You can't just focus on your game plan. You can't in any sport. No football coach or basketball coach purely focuses on what they're going to do on offense. Like you've got to plan for what your opponent's going to do, and it's the same in professional wrestling. How do you plan for Thorne? Like I don't know what we're going to see from him. Do you? Like, I mean, look at that. What, a front flip into a backstabber, and maybe my memory's failing me. I don't believe we've seen Thorne do that before. Just completely unique offense.
Here's another thing we've never seen Thorne do: win. So let's hope he can kind of get that figured out tonight.
Wow. Shade. What a shade being thrown at Fun Hinge direction over at Blockbane. It's time to think you got a vendetta with them. And speaking of Fun Hinge, we're getting back-to-back-to-back Fun Hinge matches, because after this match, we've got, I believe it's the Block B decider, and that will feature the leader of Fun Hinge, Taylor Osborne. So, interesting to see how they all perform back-to-back-to-back with varying degrees of pressure on them. Airplane spin by Thorne, falls into the pin. Oh, Jackson Blake only just kicked out. Thorne almost getting the quick victory there.
You gotta love that airplane spin by Thorne. It hurt him as much as it hurt Jackson Blake.
Yeah, but we talked before, and we don't give Thorne, especially yourself, a lot of credit for the mental side of wrestling. Is he just winging everything and doesn't really know what he's doing? But he fell into the pin. Was he lucky, or was that good ring awareness? Because we talked before about the more that sort of thing happens, the more you have to start crediting it to ring awareness. So we'll see over time, I guess, whether it was dumb luck or it was maybe us not giving him enough credit.
If Jackson Blake takes himself seriously as a competitor, he's absolutely got to find a way to put Thorne away.
And that might be it. He just basically tried to kick Thorne's head off. He's got his feet on the ropes. Referee! Oh, the referee doesn't spot it, but Thorne still kicks out at 2. Oh! And, well, that's what you get for trying to cheat against Thorne, it would seem. get a foot upside your head. Like...
By the way, not that I condone cheating, but it really shows you just how important it is to Jackson Blake to get a win tonight.
Yeah.
He was willing to put his foot on the ropes during the pin.
Jackson Blake, from day one, to me, has definitely come across as the guy who winning is more important than getting adulation from the fans. And it's two different philosophies in wrestling. It's the classic from Lucha Libre, having the rudos and the technicos, to, people want to know the backstage stuff and call it face and heel, or you can be a crowd favourite or a rule breaker. There's been so many terms for it. But yeah, it boils down to two different philosophies. Do you win at all costs, or do you try and have the crowd behind you and use that 12th man, as the saying goes, like you mentioned before, to really fire you up and help you to victory? It's two different ways. I don't think anyone's ever going to establish which is the right way and which is the wrong way, because otherwise, by now, pro wrestling's over 100 years old. We'd only have one side or the other, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Oh!
There's no... Oh, my goodness.
Another close kick out from another airplane spin. I just want to point out, whoever originally named the airplane spin has clearly never seen an airplane. They're thinking of a helicopter, right?
Yeah, I totally agree.
I mean, just to throw that one out there, whoever named that move, never seen how an airplane works, clearly. Oh! There's a, oh, I forgot what he calls it. The
No
the
way.
The MSFTO picks up the win. The move stolen from Taylor Osborne. I had to figure out what the abbreviation was in my head. But Thorne picks up the win with Taylor Osborne's move.
Jackson Blake should feel absolutely disrespected.
Yeah, and at the same time, I want to point out an impact this has on a different match. Taylor Osborne, just seen his finisher put someone away just before he has to come out here, and he has to win to make the final. That's a thing. Taylor Osborne's like, he's out next. He's watching. He's not only watching on a monitor. He's watching on a monitor right behind the curtain, ready to come out for his match. He's next. He's watching. He sees his move put someone away, and this man's not short of confidence. Look at his entrance. Look at his presentation. There's no denying he's got all the confidence in the world. But man, he just got a bit more.
But yeah, let's not. I don't really want to talk about Taylor Osborne. I want to talk about the fact that Thorne is on his way to the back to make fun of Tornado, because Thorne actually got the job done.
Oh,
Tornado
yeah.
pick up a victory. Jesus Christ.
Do you think that happened? I don't know. Fun Hinge don't seem to have the dynamic of any group I've ever seen in professional wrestling history. I couldn't even begin to tell you how I think they behave and interact backstage. Like, Taylor Osborne's the de facto leader, but how do they know? Like, I'm fascinated by Fun Hinge, because they're all so unique as individuals, but then you put them all together and you're like, I don't know what to make of this as a group. Like, what's the deal? What's the dynamic? You know, I don't know. Like Taylor Osborne, as the de facto leader, is also the only one with an opportunity to get into the final. What if more than one of them had got into the final? Would one of the quote-unquote underlings have given way to Taylor Osborne? Or would they have fought it out? Like, what's the dynamic there? How would Taylor Osborne have felt if one of Tornado or Thorne got to the final and he didn't? Like, I can't read this group. There's so much we need to learn about this group. We're only 4 weeks in, and they're really enigmatic and interesting to me.
Yeah, I think that the deal with Fun Hinge is they're all a little crazy here. But I gotta say, if Taylor Osborne does not find a way to pick up a victory, I mean, seriously, if Thorne is the only member of Fun Hinge that found a way to get a W tonight, then they really have to take a look at themselves as individuals and figure out why they're in this company.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, different circumstances. Thorne's in a zero pressure match, and I'm not saying for a minute I believe Thorne would have felt the pressure if this was a world title match that he just was in, but it's still a different scenario, and you never know. Maybe Jackson Blake came in knowing he can't qualify, and some people, pride ain't enough to fight for, you know, like maybe that just, I'm not saying he gave that match away, but maybe it was just a step off because psychologically he wasn't quite in the game. I don't know, but this match, like, both men, one win and one draw. If you remember, Block B started off really interestingly with all 4 men picking up time limit draws in their first matches. But then, since then, Drake Doobie and Taylor winning last week. So now this is a decider.
By the way, is anybody able to watch Drake Doobie make his way down to the ring without dancing themselves? Because right now, I'm shucking and jiving like a fool.
I'll be honest, and I personally love this about him. I looked over while he was standing in front of the over to the side of the announce tables during the entrance. Taylor at one point was having a little boogie as well. He's loving the Drake Doobie character. Like, so, you know, power to them. Power, you know, and again shows that fun side of Fun Hinge, you know, like why that's part of their name. But once the bell's rung, Taylor Osborne, look at this, early offense. Is he going to be an all business Taylor Osborne? How important when you see these guys dance to the ring and with their unique take on professional wrestling in general, like the presentation, the match style, everything. How important is the title? I really don't know. Like, I don't want to do down the EWA Championship, and I'm not by any stretch. It is super important to at least 13 of the 16 participants in this tournament. I just don't know if Fun Hinged, if that's their goal. I just don't know. Like, I don't know anything about them. And that's what fascinates me.
I don't know much about them myself, but I'll tell you something about Taylor Osborne. I've not seen a match yet where he hadn't given up, you know, a tremendous amount of size to his opponent. And it just speaks to the fact that he's got to work that much harder because he's the little guy in there.
Yeah, and it sort of makes you wonder, like, if the championship isn't the motivation, is that the motivation that, you know, is maybe... he doesn't have any sort of semblance of, like, I don't know if you guys have this expression in the States, but little dog syndrome, where, like, little dogs are always the most aggressive, and big dogs are always chilled, and you translate that to people, and you get, like, small men who are really overly aggressive to try and make up for it. I don't feel like Taylor has that, but does he have a little bit of a thing where, because he's always fighting uphill, that's what he's fighting for? He's fighting for that personal degree of pride of, look, I may be smaller, but I can stand my ground. You know, I don't know. I just don't know what makes these guys tick. Are we thinking too much? Maybe they just like to fight, you know?
He's got to find a way to win tonight, because he can't do what he's done his entire life, which is come up short.
Oh, the short jokes being broken out. So, as much as he's not the biggest competitor in EWA, I wouldn't say that sort of thing too loudly around him. Like, if he hears you, I'm scarping. You're on your own. Like, just so you know. Oh, quick go behind. He's got such a speed edge again because of that size disadvantage. He's got a size advantage over a speed advantage over pretty much everyone, because, like, you can move faster if there's less of you to move. It's just physics, you know. Power to weight ratio. Oh, and there's a UTO early in the match. Not even 3 minutes gone. One. So, oh, referee didn't even quite get a 2, I don't think, there. So we almost had what I think Blackburn would consider an upset. I'm not convinced. I think these two are pretty even in the match, but I think he would have called that an upset if Taylor had just won there. And now look at this. Now the charisma comes out, and he's just posing for the fans while holding a pin. He only got a 1 count, but oh, he just jumped clean over Drake Doobie. He went for a drop kick. That's impressive. That's a vertical leap and a half.
Yeah, I think it would have been an upset, and I think I also would have been upset, because I'm looking at Taylor Osborne now. I'm just not under the impression that he takes this whole thing seriously, and that, my friend, is the theme of Unhinged. A group of individuals who, quite frankly, doesn't give a damn.
Quite possibly could be. If they do give a damn, they don't sell it. They got the ultimate poker face. Like, oh my god, okay, Drake Doobie's here to play. Straight up off the floor from a UTO. Wow, we haven't seen that before. It's gonna take a bit to put Doobie away here. Both these guys love to have fun on the way down to the ring, and love to have fun with the EWA audience and what have you. But they're both going for it here. Whether Taylor's only fighting for pride, whether he cares about the title, whether Doobie is aware that he's in a effectively a #1 contenders match at this stage, or whether what used to be in his cup has taken that awareness away from him, I don't know. But they're both going for it. Whatever their reasons, they're both going for it.
And it doesn't appear at this point that Drake Doobie has an answer for Taylor Osborne, to the tune of the fact that Taylor can get on his hands and kick his feet.
Yeah, unless the answer is just to keep taking UTOs and keep coming back, because that's what he's been doing so far. Victory by attrition, you know. Oh!
Just 5 minutes gone in this match, and I think Taylor is clearly in full control of this point.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely, 100%. It's been 80-90% Taylor Osborne, I would say. Oh, but there's the drop toe hold. He countered whatever Taylor Osborne was running in to do, and maybe this is Drake Doobie's chance. Backslide driver.
Oh my goodness! By the way, that was so cute. I don't know if you saw when Taylor Osborne ran toward the ropes, he actually hit the middle rope instead of the top one.
You can't call a professional wrestler cute. That's degrading, man. That's degrading. Oh man. Can't be having that. Oh, I'm getting out of here if Taylor ever hears any of this. Like, oh, step up enziguri by Drake Doobie. But then Taylor possums him in, a drop toe hold of sorts of his own, just leg trips him. But Drake Doobie straight back on the
look
offense.
At that.
Bulldog driver.
Oh my goodness.
Face first. And now he's going for his tombstone.
Doobie.
Here it is.
Uh-oh.
The Stoner special.
Know where you're at in the ring, young man. Know where you are in that ring.
He does.
That's right.
He does. He drags Taylor Osborne. He drags him away from the ropes. He goes for the pin.
Can he get the victory?
No!
Oh,
one is not enough.
Goodness.
One is not enough. Now, if these two draw, I just want to address this because we're under 4 minutes remaining in the match. It's a possibility. It's definitely a possibility at this stage. If these two draw, no one wins this block. Next week we would have to have them have a decider, and I have been informed by EWA management the way to resolve that would be to have the rematch and not have a time limit. So there will be a winner, and that way one man can get through into the finals, because we do head to head, but in the head to head they would have drawn. Oh, and here's another cocky pin by Taylor Osborne. I'll tell you what, he gets in his opponent's heads with moves like that. You know, regardless of, you can say it's not a great technical cover, he's never going to pick up the three. He's playing mind games, you know. But yeah, so there would be a rematch. If this match goes to a draw, which we're only 3 minutes away from, then there will be a rematch next week with no time limit between these two men. Oh.
And let's not go with that motive in the way that Drake Judy was able to pick up Taylor Osborne there like he was a child.
Oh.
Not like he was a child. He is a child.
I mean, we have seen his papers. He is not a child, just to clarify for anyone watching from the legal department anyway. This is just Black Bane trying to pick a fight that he doesn't particularly want. And oh my god, Doobie, that's Tornado's move. Was that on purpose? Is that a shout out?
Oh, here we go. Oh my goodness. Perfect ring position. Perfect ring position.
Yeah, he's far back into it, Drake Doobie. And he picks it up exactly 2 minutes on the clock. And Drake Doobie is your third participant in the finals of the EWA Championship Tournament. He joins Shane Andrews, who qualified last week. I know you're probably still sore about that because he qualified at the expense of Mammoth. And then Coyote Cody that qualified earlier. And three very different philosophies. Shane Andrews, popular with the fans, especially the ladies and Blackbane. But all business when he gets to the ring. Coyote Cody, just full throttle, doesn't know how to take his foot off the accelerator, runs through opponents for the most part. And then Drake Doobie loves to have fun, but when the bell rings, he gets it done. Hashtag bars. And I don't know, three completely different personalities making it through to the final so far. I'm super intrigued by how that match is going to go. And now, it's the main event, and this is going to be good.
By the way, I mean, there's no camera on Taylor Osborne right now, but I would imagine he's on his way back to the locker room to join Tornado. Tornado, who's currently rubbing Thorne's left foot, but Taylor Osborne's going to pick up the right foot and get to work. Yeah, because Thorne was the only one in Fun Hinge that got the job done tonight.
But that might just be their normal dynamic. I haven't got a clue. Like, it's Fun Hinge, man. Like, who knows? Maybe they're having a tea party with Tabitha and Charlie. Like, who knows? Like, I don't even try and guess what they're doing once they're not on our cameras. No idea. But I'll tell you what, Payne once again making his entrance through the audience. And this man, two impressive showings so far in EWA. One where he run through his opponent, and one where he showed how much of a beating he can take and just keep powering through. Two different matches, two different facets of his game, both super impressive. I tend to call these things down the middle, but I'm impressed with Payne. I'm calling it. I'm going Payne. I'm going Payne to be the final finalist. His opponent, this is no disrespect to CJ if he's listening on the monitor backstage, I think this is going to be an incredibly close match. I'm super impressed with Payne.
I am impressed with Payne as well, but, you know, for no other reason, perhaps, other than being a contrarian, I think I'm going to go with CJ. I want to see if Payne has been coming up lucky or if Payne is for real. And we will find out when CJ makes his way down to the ring and this match starts.
Yeah, and you say no other reason than being contrarian. I think somewhere in the back of your mind, and you might not even have realised this, it's because the beating that Payne took was from a Fun Hinge member, and you got your little vendetta with them. I don't know what's going on there. That's fine. But to me, maybe in the back of your mind, you're thinking he's not taking a real beating. Maybe he can't. I don't know. Maybe that's where that's come from. Possibly. Don't want to speak for you, but that's just in my mind is how you view Fun Hinge. And maybe you didn't see him as a real threat, no matter how much Thorne took the fight to Payne.
Well, I think the reason why I don't see Fun Hinge as a threat is because I've learned not to sweat the small stuff. But that's just me.
Oh. I'm telling you, you're gonna lose yourself a co-commentator if they start coming out here and questioning you. I'm gone. Like, I'm getting out of the way.
Well, this is what I got to tell you about that. Like, listen, you don't really have to worry about it because so far they've not beat anybody. So how are they going to beat us?
I mean, they ain't gonna beat us because I'm gone. Like, my friend, if I've got fun hinges after me, no one's beating me in a 100-meter sprint, so they're getting you. Like, this ain't my battle. But CJ in the ring now, and I just want to point something out. The battle of this exact pose. Both men been throwing this up and getting the pyro coming down from the ceiling. Payne with the extra additional money dropping. There's a bit of a mini rivalry there where, you know, they're kind of like, no. Alright, so, main event, final slot to be decided. Oh, out of the gate with a Superman punch, but CJ back up to his feet. Oh, he looked like he was going through for like an arm wringer, and Payne just grabbed him by the hair, I guess, and dragged him down. These two not coming slow out the gate at all. Look at them. Swapping places, front face locks, straight to the back. This is just a fight, and I don't think anyone expected any different. We're not going to see any Drake Doobie dancing. We're not going to see any fun-hinged, funny pinfalls and shenanigans. We're not seeing any of that in this match. We're just going to see a fight, and I'm here for it.
I'm here for it too, and I think it's worth noting that, I mean, Drake Doobie, he did do a lot of dancing, but he also got the victory, so can't be hating on that.
Oh no, not hating on any of those people at all. I'm just saying this is a different type of match. This is just a flat-out brawl. There's no way this is going to the time limit. I mean, they're both tough, but they're going to dish out so much damage in 10 minutes. I can't see this going to the time limit. Someone's got to stay down within 10 minutes. Like, as tough as both men are, they're both better at dishing out damage, I would say. You know, like, so eventually it's going to catch up with one of them.
And Payne better hope he does exactly what his namesake is and brings it to CJ, because there's so much on the line in this match. They got to keep going, keep pushing.
Yeah, and they're really back and forth, but I'd say overall I'd give the slight edge to Payne so far in this match, but it's early days. As much as I don't think it's going 10 minutes, I also don't think it's going to be over in 2. You know, I think it's going to be a reasonable length, you know, fight. They've both got such toughness. I just can't see anyone withstanding either of these men's offense for 10 whole minutes. I just can't comprehend that as a possibility. Now what's Payne got in mind here? He's got something big for CJ.
Ooh, big shot there.
He's climbing up. He's on the outside. We don't need this. We just need to win the match.
Payne has to be careful.
Oh
yeah.
my god.
Oh my goodness.
Both men taking a huge spill to the outside. Superplex to the floor. Those are like inch-thick mats. Rubber mats at best, and then it's concrete underneath it. Like, don't let the fact that there's matting down fool anyone. That's not a nice fall to take. You won't want to take that fall from 3 foot up. Like,
yeah.
He gets him back in the ring and he kicks out at 1. Again, the toughness.
You really have to question that strategy from Payne, because it's like, yeah, you did damage to your opponent, but in doing so, you were willing to hurt yourself as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's retained the upper hand for the most part since then. I mean, CJ's starting to fight back now, but yeah, he's still going to be a little bit sore after that. Was it unnecessary soreness? But look at it, takes it down. Oh, look at these palm strikes.
By the way, when Payne spit out that red mist, I thought he had internal bleeding.
I think maybe that might have been. I'm not sure that was red mist. That might have been blood. Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised after that spill. Oh, into the TKO. That's kind of out of nowhere, but that's one of CJ's moves. Oh, and Payne. Wow. Out at 1 and barely 1. The referee had hardly got down onto his hands and knees, and Payne was kicking out.
Oh. I thought CJ was going to duck that kick, but instead he ate every bit of it.
Yeah, but look at him, bouncing back. Like, for the record, that TKO, remember, he calls it the James drop. He still hasn't got back to me on whether that's what the J in CJ is for. I don't expect him to. I don't think he's bothered about talking to me. Oh, there's the painkiller. He's got the ropes there, ref. Like, I mean, it's not giving him an advantage, so I'm not, like, outraged by that, but rules is rules. Like, that pinfall was definitely in the ropes, but luckily for the referee, I think, CJ kicked out. If he hadn't kicked out then, that's how he would have lost. I would not want to be that referee.
Me neither. How controversial would that have been?
Stomp on the ankle there from CJ. That might be the sort of thing that makes a difference. These two are going so flat out and punching and kicking each other and taking each other down, and maybe just someone taking the moment to target a limb or something and slow their opponent down might just be the difference maker. Oh, he went for a stunner, and CJ pushed him off. He knew he was moments away from losing that then. That stunner might have been all she wrote.
I picked CJ to win, man. I've got to say, he may be well on his way, but these guys are still going back and forth.
Another painkiller. But doesn't follow this one up with the pin. Instead, sending CJ into the corner. And what's Payne got in mind here? Off the ropes. Bounces off the ropes to the side. Oh! Rolling discus forearm by Payne. Good grief. Now CJ staggering back to his feet. Oh, he went for a spear and CJ reversed it. Great catch.
What a reversal.
Great catch into a DDT. And now CJ
is fired up.
Yeah, he's feeling confident. He took Payne down. He's dodged both of his signature moves now. He dodged the stunner. He just about scrambled free of that. He reversed the spear. He's done his homework. As much as this is a flat-out brawl, that's not to call either of these not intelligent wrestlers. Oh, but he's talking smack and Payne's had enough. Look at that. He said one crossed word to Payne, and look at the bounce back from Payne. Good grief. He just got straight up to his feet and pressed him above his head and slammed him down. Good grief. Ducks the clothesline. Power slam by Payne. Look, don't talk smack to Payne, guys. Let everyone watching on the monitors backstage remember that life lesson. Don't talk smack to Payne. That went badly for CJ. Oh!
CJ.
Oh, that's it.
Oh, all over
He calls
Payne.
that the Sleepmaker. He's put I think he's won all his matches with it. And he's won this one. Out of nowhere. That is such a dangerous move. It just comes from out of nowhere and he puts his opponents away. And CJ is the final man into the finals. And we've got one more show before the finals, which will be next Saturday. And on that show, we will reveal the rule set for the final match. So make sure you tune in for that. To remind you, it's going to be Shane Andrews, Drake Doobie, Coyote Cody, and that man, CJ. And I'm just going to go ahead and get ready to sign off here. Next week, I'm going to get Blackbane's thoughts on who he thinks is going to win the EWA Championship. For now, on both of our behalf, I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next week.